Hey everyone. Just tweaking the settings. Streams looks fine. It's the weekends, everyone. Weekends. Where did I put my pen? There it is. So let's continue on from, I think it was Thursday, so 2 days ago. My stream ended abruptly because I have a internet connection problem, and it was not just my house, it was the entire east side of Japan's having an internet connection problem. So it was not me, not my fault, nothing shady. And then the internet got like totally bonked. So that's what happened. So I would like to continue on from the last stream, but the VOD is not there. So what I did was I just tweaked the thickness of the hairs so it hits the forehead more nicely. And what I did, what I was planning to do was start making the umbrellas, which I'm gonna do today. And additionally, I'm thinking about adding a ribbon on the side of the head. So that's what I'm gonna do now. So if you have any questions related to ZBrush, ZBrush Core, Japan in general, hit me up with the questions. If you have any issues with the sounds, just let me know. I hope it's working fine. I'm printing some models in the background, so if you hear some like squeaking noise, that's the printer. What was I? Oh yeah, ribbons. So what I'm gonna do is make a plane. And then use that as a guide to place the ribbons. So something like this, smooth it out with weighted smooth mode. And let's see. I think it's better to use a cube. I just assigned a subdivision level, so I'm going to delete this and $16. Yep, looks fine, and I'm just going to delete this. So it looks like this, and then I'm just gonna add a bit more thickness to it. And let's see. Gonna put this on the center. Oh, don't need any masks. Hey, Zafine. How do I read your name? Sorry. Yeah, welcome. It's the weekends. Fun, fun, fun. Like I see the time schedule, and I think there's nobody after me, so I'm gonna do a longer stream today. Not just 2 hours, maybe. Google Calendar. Let's see. Yeah, so I have no one after me, so I'm gonna do 4 to 6 hours if possible. I want to improve the quality of the sculpt and show you a couple of techniques, but if I get tired, maybe I'll end the stream a bit more earlier, but you never know. Crease, then smoothing. So I'd need to maybe just tweak the settings. Yeah, works fine. Yep. It's more casual because it's the weekends, but yeah, I'm trying to recover from the last stream's issue. I had a network issue last stream, and it was due to my internet provider having the huge issue in the East Japan area. Like, I can show you the image where they just reported, well, it's not their report, but there was a down count. Where's the image? So there was a report by the users using the connection, and there was a huge like increase in that time period where the internet just like broke for everyone. Stream. Yeah, so you can see this. So what happened was that, like you can see on the screen, from 7 o'clock, the connection problem happened for a lot of people. So the numbers skyrocketed during up to 8 o'clock, and people were starting to wake up and just try to connect the internet. They were having issues. So that's what happened. And yeah, so that's why I'm sculpting on the weekends. Fun. Hi, I think my question got cut off during the last stream. Do you prefer to work mostly for an A pose and then pose it afterwards? Or is it more natural to work in the desired pose? Really depends on what you're trying to make. If it's a figurine and if the final like pose is a fixed pose, like it's not gonna like be animated or something like that, then I think it's better to like quickly pose it really quick, like on the earliest stage, because like if you make a lot of stuff and then if it gets distorted when you pose them, it's gonna take you more additional time to actually tweak those settings, and for me, like, I don't want to do that. So you can see on my like sculpt that like I usually do the posing earlier on, unless I have a symmetrical model. Like, for example, I have a hard surface symmetrical model, and then if I pose it, it's going to be hard to like tweak it. So that's what that's what I would do. So if I have a symmetrical hard surface model that needs to be tweaked after posing, I'll try to do that to try to make the hard surface model and then like pose it afterwards. But if it's just a human and a couple of gloves and a couple of like items, then I'll just pose the model earlier on and then try to like add the items later on. So like you can see that I'm not really tweaking the ribbons or adding the ribbons earlier on compared to the model I did for the Japanese stream. Oh, talking about the Japanese stream, like I made the turntable renders like this. You can see the turntable render. So for this one, I tried to like make the hard surface. So for this one, yeah, no, I thought my mic was getting off. So for this one, I have the hard surface symmetrical, right? But it's hard to make the hard surface symmetrical if you're already posing it. So most of the workflow, so for this model, I made most of the parts symmetrical in the first place with the T-pose. And then I made the posing and then moved around the hard surface to fit the pose. So unless it's this kind of like shape, I'll just use the posing earlier on and then like create the items. Does that make sense? Yeah. It took a bit of time to actually make that one, but yeah, it turned out great, I think. Picker, yeah, closest. Maybe thinner. I think it was 16, right? I searched a bit back on the channel to check if there's a whole path of making this character up to this point. I saw one video 1 month ago where there is a base mesh, I think. So if a model has a combination of hard surface and organic elements, you'd render as many of the hard surface elements as possible before the posing and then block in your organic elements. Yeah, basically that, yeah. Is that the first video of the series, the one where you start with a pose model? I don't understand the question of Shinobi. Is that the first video of the series? So for the mech model piece, I had a base mesh from my past work, and I just reused that. It's not really a complex model, it's just a base mesh. So if you have a base mesh, then it takes less time to actually make the models. I tend to just make the models from scratch anyways. So if you look back on my model for this one, it's not like it's made from scratch. Like it's not base mesh, or it's not using any base mesh. But for this one, it's just spheres, but the other one was using a base mesh. Split. Split hidden. Crease should be fine. Yep. And crease by polygroups. Polyloops. Ooh. Oh. Oh yeah, I have this one. So I just need to delete the, I think it's points. Delete points. Ooh. And then connect. Bridge. Oops, I accidentally clicked on the non-existing edge and then it's trying to connect it. Oof. I think there's a recovery, but maybe not. Let's see. Oh, there is. Did you have everything ready for Wonder Festival? No, I'm still making 2 other models, and one I'm currently printing on the side. I think I can show you, like, I have the time. How often do you have your ZBrush crash? Not much. I have once, like, it really depends. Like, if I do something stupid like this, then yeah. Bridge. Bridge. Yep. Should be fine. Delete points. Delete. Bridge. What's that sci-fi sound? Is that a 3D printer? Yeah, it's a 3D printer. I'm using Form 2 for my prints. Polygroup. And I just need one side of the loop to be should be fine. And let's see. Oh, one thing I forgot about, but you can just move the entire other side of the mesh, like using the brush, auto masking, and then if you use backface masking, and then if you go to draw size 1 with the move topology brush, you're gonna have this kind of like effect happening. So you can just move one side of the thickness to your liking, just like this. So what it's doing is, since you have the move topology with draw size 1, you usually have the capability to like just move the, like for example, if you have a model next to it, it's easy to see. But if you select the sphere and then if you try to move it with move topology brush, it's gonna move the entire brush, right? No, it's gonna move the entire mesh with draw size 1. But if you have back face masking on, what it will do is it will ignore the back face, but it will try to move the mesh. So you have this kind of like one side of the mesh moving. So you can use this to your advantage. So what I want to do in the end is just like move this area to have a bit bigger thickness. So I'm just using the move topology brush and with the draw one side setting to like adjust the mesh slightly. Is the 3D printer molding or ABS strings? So it's using a resin. So it's a SLA, I think it was was it stereographic laser, what was it? I don't remember the specific name, but it's based on the laser, and it's using resin to solidify it. May you want some thickness? Yeah. Stereolithography. It's hard for me to pronounce, you know. You don't need to torture me. What is the pipeline for you follow to create your figures into a physical realized object? You mean how to prep your models to be 3D printed? I think 1.5 is big. 1.2? Yeah, 1.2 is fine. Yeah, so I can show you my actual 3D print ready model. So let me just save this temporary. Talk 04S, and just let me load a yeah, what Omni said, to be honest. But if you want to hear about the specifics, this is the actual like print ready model. It's decimated already, and it's keyed. So if you like take a look at the parts, it has this kind of like keying, like this. And this one took me like forever to actually do. It was eating up my weekends, like in the entire weekends, to actually do this. So like it's trying to hit with the hairs nicely. And it has some small spheres to like fit nicely with the hairs and the backside of the hairs and stuff like that. Wait, did I forget something? Hey, it's forgetting. Oh no. Oh no. Yeah, like like if you know what I'm doing, like if you look at this part, right? If you look at this part, it's a dimple, so it fits with your head nicely, but like I just noticed it's missing this dimple, right? So what it would look like is if you use live boolean to actually check it, it would look like this, right? But it doesn't have this. So this is an oopsie on my end. Yeah, this could happen, yeah. Yeah, I was looking at the model and thinking, huh, there's no dimple here. But yeah, like you'd need to prep your models so it fits nicely. There's no like you would want less gaps on the hairs and the hairs, and it should print out nicely and fits nicely. And there's a lot of techniques involved with keying stuff and applying live booleans, and like you can check other videos for that. No holes as well. Yeah, so if you want to print a model, you can't have open-ended, open edge, essentially, no holes. So what it means that if you have a skirt, then it needs a thickness to it, basically. Or if it's a model, it needs to be watertight. Watertight is essentially a word invented so like not like you don't need to repeat the sentence, like there's no holes on your model and stuff like that. Like basically, it's if you put a water in it, it's not going to leak. So yeah, like for example, this one was very hard because it's like it needs to like support the other character's weight on the on where she's having contact with the body. So this was the part where she had to have a lot of like connections and interactions with the other character. So like you can see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and there's a ribbon 6, 7, and hair was contacting, so like 8 connections. So this was a lot of like thinking going on. How many pieces at the end? I think it was 69 parts or 70. I'm not really sure, but mostly that's the count. And like I have a stick in the data. So what I'm doing is that it's a reference for the size. So this is vertically 25 centimeters. So I'm having a mesh that is 25 segments in height, and it's 1 centimeter, 1 centimeter as a cube, right? It's a rectangle. Like what I don't know what you call these, but it's a reference scale. So if I want to like replace a part, for example, if I want to like replace the if I want to redo the booleans and then resend the model to the printer itself, what I would do is like I prep the model again and then just click on this and then press Z plugin and go to 3D Print Hub and then update size ratio and then just type in 250 and then export it. So it's gonna have the entire mesh exported using this as a scale. So that's usually my workflow. When are you going to print this model? I'm just printing it right now. I can show you one part. So it would look like this. You can see there's a lot of like support underneath. I'm using a Form 2, by the way, and you can see the keying happening here. Luckily, I didn't. I don't think I printed the head yet, so I'm gonna apply the live booleans after the stream and then fix the model. What resin brand do you use? It's the Form 2 printer's default resin. I'm using the gray resin, and on the last stream I did, it was on Thursday. I like quickly put the cartridge in during the stream, and like that cartridge was that cartridge like. It has the bottom cap. Oh, well, it's hard to explain. It has a rubber cap on the bottom, so it controls how the resin will flow. And when I set the cartridge, and I check the bottom part, so it has the slit. I think it was curved a bit, and then it spilled after the print. I noticed there's a spill of resin on the 3D printer, and it was coming from the bottom of the printer, and I was wondering why it was happening. And then I checked the cartridge, the rubber part was a bit bent, and then it was like spilling over the printer. It's a nightmare situation. I need to clean the printer up after I did the print. But like I need to do 7 more prints before I can actually tear up the 3D printer and then actually clean the insides. It's not gonna affect directly because it's not the resin didn't really sink into the laser part, so it's not gonna cause some solidification or anything. So that's not the part I'm concerned about. It's the resin like getting spilled over on the model or spilled over on the printer. I have a resin printer as well, but I still struggle with finding the right settings for a good print. Form 2 has a good settings from the get-go, so I don't really struggle with that. Yeah, the issue with the cheap printer is that you can use any resins, but the issue is that because it's not really like it doesn't have any like brand specific resin, it's gonna like eat up your time setting up the printer to give you a decent print, and I didn't really want to deal with that. I just wanted to like get the 3D print done and then just be done with it. So I choose not to like buy the cheap printers. So I saved up money to actually get some good printers, and I bought the printers a while ago. So it was before the Form 3 came out, and the average like laser type 3D printer was a bit expensive back then. But if you compare it to now, like the printers are really cheap. Yeah, like I hate that part of the tweaking. Like if you see it this way, like I usually get asked about 3D prints, and I usually tell them that like, do you have or do you know any community with 2D prints? You don't, right? And like if you look at Facebook, there's a lot of like 3D print communities, and they are happy to tweak the 3D printers all day. And for me, that's weird. Like I draw stuff, I design stuff, I sculpt stuff, but I don't want to tweak. I don't want to spend a lot of time tweaking the printers and then getting a decent print, right? If I'm looking for a really good print from a cheaper printer, understandable. But if I'm just looking for a decent print, I don't want to spend time fiddling around the printers, making custom parts, making adjustments to the actual printer. Like that's weird, right? So I just buy a decent printer and then be done with it. How do you advise someone like me? Depends on your budget. To be honest, like if you have the time and budget, then you can afford yourself buying a cheaper printer. But if you don't have the time, if you want to spend more time on the sculpting, it's better to just pay up and just buy a good printer. Like it depends. I think I have a good 3D printing model that I would like to sell online. Selling online, like I usually have issues with the how do I say this? Like I don't want to offend anyone, but selling 3D data could be a risk, to be honest. Like I don't want to put out my 3D data so anyone else can print it. It's gonna be ripped off, it's gonna be tweaked, it's gonna be changed, it's gonna like get out of your hand, that sort of stuff. And when I see other people selling other people's 3D print data, that's like I don't want that to happen. Like if you go to Thingiverse, then like Thingiverse itself is a 3D sharing platform, right? That's fine, but if you as an artist don't want that model to be tweaked or changed inappropriately, then it's better to just like keep the 3D data yourself, but sell the actual 3D print resin, like the 3D, like the one I showed you. You can sell those, but you can still maintain or keep your 3D data intact without like getting it tweaked or getting it changed or resold elsewhere. That's my concern. But I don't know how to make it more people see it. It depends. Like if you go to a 3D printing community and then you can tell them that your model is like on sale, you can let them know that exists. And there's a lot of like 3D print data like sharing platforms that you can go to sell your models. Is selling the resin piece similar to a figure garage kit? Like it depends on how you see it. Why did I add a cylinder? I just needed to tweak the shape. But like sometimes 3D print community has a couple of like misunderstanding with the copyright system. So as an artist, I'm a bit worried about that kind of stuff. So some people come from the engineering background, and they understand the technical issues or the open source kind of like mentality, but they don't really understand the copyright mentality as an artist. So if you have, or if you want your model, or if your artwork want to look like a specific way, and like you feel that's your expression, and people can print that model, but at the same time people would like to tweak it at the same time. So it's hard, like I know, but like for me, I wouldn't like to risk my character being tweaked to being another thing that I wouldn't like to be associated with, or something like that. That happens a lot, so just be aware of that. You're right. So your advice only selling the printed object? Generally, if you have those kind of like customers you have, or if you have a platform like Instagram, or if you have your own web page, and then if you sell it on the stores, you can just fit. It takes more efforts than like putting up a 3D print data on Gumroad or something like that. It's going to take more effort, but it's less likely to get copied or ripped off and then sold on another site like you see people selling 3D data and then sold off to another site. So if you want that to not happen, it's better to like be defensive, or taking the extra steps to actually do it. I'm thinking of doing some kind of like crowdfunding thing before I release it, but it's hard to reach many people. Yeah, if you're planning on making a series, like a board game with a miniature print to it, then it's gonna make sense. But I don't think there's a huge community around like just making the 3D print available, just one. Like, it's not really a common thing to do. Yeah, talking about the copyright stuff is like for an artist like me, I have a couple of like educations around copyrights, but not like if where are you from? I'm from Japan. Like, I'm from Japan. I lived in England for 5 years. I can speak English because of that. Does that mean that sculpting an existing character is risky for copyright? For example, I wouldn't sculpt a existing character without permission, is what I would do. Like, I showed you one example of my fan art, but I'm getting permission from the official license holder to actually make that figurine. So this is possible in Japan, and I'm not aware that kind of like system exists in the West. So I know it's a different kind of story in the West compared to Japan, but in Japan you'd better get a permission from the official license holder and pay a fee before you actually make the figurines. Especially if you're planning to sell on the event. If you're just like showing off, if you're not going to plan to sell it, it's fine. You don't need permission. Or generally understood as you don't need permission. But if you're infringing on other people's copyrights, it's risky, yeah. you like if you look at the fan out situation, it kind of like feels backwards. I know the general understanding of fan art is like if you don't get paid for your fan art, it's okay. Is the general understanding from the community, but in the copyright law sense, that doesn't exist. So it's just like if you're getting compensated for your work, then it's likely to get sued, or you have a bigger chance of you getting sued because you have monetary incentive to get sued. But being free doesn't make you from like making the fan art free doesn't exempt you from that happening. So I need to make this clear. I'm not a lawyer, so no legal advice would be. No, I'm not talking about any like law advice, but sometimes the general understanding of the copyright versus the actual interpretation of the copyright is like different. So you just need to understand that. Indeed, the instead of the campaign released a statement about fan art work. My mini factory, they are crowdfunding platforms, especially for 3D printing. Yeah, I'm not gonna promote one single platform because I'm not really sure about what's the deal with the those companies or who's behind it or something like that. But yeah, you can reach out to those platforms and then see itself how popular it is, how effective the campaign would be. It's better to take a bit of research as well. I had my friend who was making Evangelion fan art, and he got the rights from the IP holders to actually make the fan art itself, and he was able to sell the garage kits, but it got stolen by a Chinese company and then got recasted. Recast is a common like a method of like copying the existing resin kit and make a silicone mold and then cast it again from that cast, and like that's a huge problem in the garage kit community. And I had a friend who was making a Evangelion fan art, and he was paying the fee to the original license holders, but a Chinese company was ripping him off, and they were making a lot of like tons and tons of like kits without his permission or awareness. And there was another guy who was using that kit and scanning it and then making it into a 3D printed model, and then he was doing a crowdfunding for that 3D data itself. And it was like I was like stunned at this situation. Like, oh man, like yeah, some people, man, like. And he was justifying the situation by telling the people that it's a promotion to the original artist, and like I was like, what the what the heck is this? Like, yeah, those kind of people exist. And at the same time, he was ripping off Raphael Grassity, so he was making the Raphael Grassity's Yoshimitsu as a kit, and he was going to crowdfund the kit so it could be resold as a pre-painted model. And I was like, what is this? So yeah, those kind of situation exists, and I really don't want to get my models treated like that, so I'm taking extra precautions. Yeah, like it's really tricky. Some people don't really understand how the law works, and each country has a different understanding of the law, or they like for Japan, we don't have fair use. UK, America, other countries like Mexico has those kind of like fair use. I'm just listing the areas I know the fair use exists. I think Korea has one. I'm not sure. No, I'm totally aware that Japan doesn't have this. Oh yeah, I'm gonna adjust the colors afterwards, but not for now. I just want to get the general shape and then tweak the colors later on. So most people don't really understand the fair use to be real and will claim that it's fair use. No, but no, yeah. Yeah, there was a interesting case with the Olympics versus I think it was a Twitch streamer called XQC, and Olympics IOC was bringing a DMCA claim where XQC got a temporary ban, and he claimed that it was a fair use, but he wasn't really commenting on the video itself. And I think it was a copyright lawyer called Leonard French talking about this could be not understood as a fair use in court, and those kind of like situations exist. Like if you go to YouTube Leonard French, The Lawful Masses, you can like learn a lot of like stuff related to copyright. It's interesting. Thanks. For example, in Japan, there's no fair use, but if you're a if you're in a library, and then if the library has a photocopier, you're allowed to copy the book itself because it's educational purpose, but you can't really put out a YouTube video saying this is educational use and then do the same stuff online. So those kind of like quoting the art is really like understood differently. So if you're not an actual institution that teaches you stuff, you can't really use other people's work, is the basic understanding of Japan's like legal system. So in like when I see people talking about fair use cases on YouTube, it's real. I feel it's really different. And like for my Japanese brain, thinking about this kind of like law, it feels really weird. I know it's a different law, so it's a different standard, but yeah. Do you have an online portfolio? Yeah, I don't really have a portfolio, but like you can check out my ZBrush Central, or you can check out my Instagram page. Let's see. So here's my ZBrush Central account, and you can go to Instagram for my other works as well. Yeah, like I was binge watching some copyright lore recently. Like the Lawful Masses is really interesting where he talks about, because he's an intellectual copyright lawyer. Like he goes into the depths of actually explaining what kind of like stuff would constitute the definition of copyright and stuff like that. It's really interesting. So if you're not aware of the copyright or the strict definition of the law, you can check that out as well. Okay, I'm gonna try to add a bit more hair. Like, I wanted to tweak the hairs for a long time, but since the hairs usually takes time, let's just do it now. I think I just need to like ditch the subdivision levels for now. Thanks for the follow. Bigger depth, closest. Talking about copyright, like I was watching Warhammer 40k's videos, and there's recently a lot of like talks around 3D prints in that community, and they are talking about like making a cheaper army with 3D print models without buying the actual like kit from the company. And I was looking at it and thinking, that's intellectual copyright infringement, right? But people, like, because they don't like the company, they have a lot of like excuses, not like more like they have that kind of like moral high ground when it comes to like ripping people's works. But I was like, that doesn't justify the infringement itself, right? But that's not the popular opinion. And yeah, as an artist, I'm a bit concerned. Yeah, it's a sensitive topic, so like a lot of people would have different kind of like opinions. I kind of understand where people are coming from when it comes to, oh, that's really high price, I don't want to pay that price and stuff like that. I understand, but if you don't respect that kind of like pricing and the people's effort, how it goes into it, like as an artist, I'm a bit concerned, because it takes a lot of time and effort and money to actually pay for that stuff. But yeah, I can understand when some people say that they don't feel like treated nicely as a customer aspect and stuff. I'm surprised Disney is. Yeah. I don't think it's sensitive. If someone else is using your creation, they should pay for it. Yeah, that's totally. I agree with that statement. Yeah. Yeah, like people understand copyright really differently, but the original like intent of the copyright itself is to like limit. They have the actual creators of the IP would have the exclusive right to like they can choose where and when it would be distributed. So I see a couple of like cases where like the miniature itself was only sold in the convention. Why would I not be like why would I need to pay for the extra fees and stuff like that? Or it was only a limited run. I should be able to get it myself and stuff like that. But the copyright itself would the copyright itself is there to prevent from those kind of like stuff. So the owners are in their total right to be defensive about that kind of stuff. Greeting from Canada. Hey, love your figure sculpt. Do you work with Good Smile? No, I work for Pixologic. I do have a couple of contacts in Good Smile, so yeah. Good Smile company is a really friendly company. Their like figurines are top notch. But yeah, like why I said it was sensitive is that like it's not a popular opinion. Like if you understand from the artist's perspective, you feel there's a right to like keep your artwork, or like if you want a limited run, it should be justified. But the internet doesn't like it, so it's kind of like controversial, right? When doing the anime faces, does anatomy knowledge change or is it just proportions? It's usually the ratios. Like I usually talk about the ratios of the anime faces, and you'd need to care about those kind of like stuff compared to the photorealistic anatomies. Do you sculpt mechas like Gundams or Macross? No, that I think that's the Paul Gabriel's field, not mine. I prefer to like sculpt a couple of mechs, but not really. I'm not really specialized in that field. But I do make some like mech models for the one I showed you earlier on. This one. So I made this on stream, on the Japanese stream, but if you don't even understand Japanese, you can actually watch the videos and see the process. You just need to like see the UI and guess what I'm doing. I'm trying to sculpt one, but in ZBrush it's hard, at least for me. Yeah, it does take a bit of like understanding of how the procedure is, but that's pretty much it. Even free file share online under Creative Commons license give people the rights to use the file, and the condition is not YOLO, is to do anything with it. If you break the CC, you can be sued. Yeah. Hi. Yeah, like I wish people understood more the copyright law and stuff like that, and respect the effort goes into a couple of arts. does the dark elf have a name? No. So if you have any ideas of the character's name, then you can pitch me ideas. Well, on the other side of the spectrum, you have the people who would copyright I think it was a copyright or trademark, a functional object, and then because you have the I think it was a trademark, yeah, and they have a specific dice case shape with a trademark. And then they were like going after other similar dice cases for those, like for conventions and stuff like that. Like there was a video about that in Then Old French's Lawful Masses, and he was the actual guy taking a look at the case. For some reason, the name Naru clicked in my head when thinking of the names. Oh, Naru is my name. Like, Daisuke Narukawa is my name, so yeah, pattern design is another beast. Yeah, they applied for a trademark with a hexagonal like honeycomb shape, and they claimed it was their right to be it was their right to exclusively make those kind of like hexagonal dice cases, and the trademark is not supposed to be that, right? So you know, a trademark usually is like a Pixologic logo or Z-Man logo and stuff like that, and that's a trademark. You can't trademark a case shape and then call it your exclusive rights. That's not a thing. If the hexagonal case has some like specific logos, like for example a Swiss knife, Swiss knife, like you have a lot of tools in it, but it has that a cross sign and the red coloring to it, that's unique to that thing, right? Do you have an art station? Yeah, I do have an art station, but I'm not really updating that page that frequently. So you can go to my ZBrush Central account or the Instagram I just posted above. Let me see. So this is the my ZBrush Central account, and this is my Instagram account. I don't really use Instagram that much, but it was a popular demand. People were asking me where is my Instagram account and stuff like that. I just made one. You can protect color like Cocoa and Klein Blue. Yeah, and the I don't remember the name. Was it the unique black color that was like made, and then it was like made specifically to that artist, and then another artist came along and then made a blacker color than that existing color, and they made a guideline saying that this black color can't be used by that specific artist. I like it. Like your elf kind of reminds me of Otoko no Kotaku. I don't know the title. I don't know that anime. Well, I think the trademarking of color is ridiculous. When he trademarked that dark black, he incentivized someone else to make an even blacker, darker black. Really sped up the process, I think. Yeah. Like, from the humanities aspect, like, it's a benefit for the entire humanity. But like I do think it's a bit like limiting the use of the entire color to just one person for that specific reason. It's kind of odd, right? I know it's a physical thing, it's a paint, so it's kind of like different, but like if I have a color wheel and then if the color wheel can't use a specific color because of trademark, it's gonna be odd, right? So like I can understand the degree of the limited rights to that artist, because like I can understand because he could have like invested into a lot of money to that specific color and nobody else was like jumping into it. If that's the case, I can understand, but from another perspective, it's very odd. Okay, she's now reminded me of a manga I read called I, the Demon Lord, Took a Slave from. But how do I know? I think I know that manga, but it's a no. Like I'm not really specifically following a manga or a character, existing character. I'm just like going from. I'm just making this design from scratch. Like I'm not really thinking about the design until I get to that like place. I am looking at references, but those references are nowhere near Dark Elves. Like, it's not Dark Elves. Is mostly marketing and drama art. Yeah. What kind of tablet are you running? I have a Hurion, but it feels weird. I'm using a Cintiq 24 HD, so the entire screen in front of me is a pen tablet. Hey, what do you think? Due to the rapid development of the natural networks, will 3D sculptors, modelers, and animators be left without work? Neural networks. No, I don't think so. there's a anime called Time of Eve. If you know the anime, you'll be familiar with the thing I'm gonna say. And the Time of Eve was based on like near future, where the robot will be undistinguishable from the humans. And in that world, the robot would have that kind of like like ring on top of them, so they are like easily distinguishable from the humans versus the robot. And there's a cafe, and following that cafe's rule, you can't have that ring on top of you. So the customers who are a robot and the humans would be interacting not knowing they are robot or a human. And that was the concept of the anime. And in that anime, the main personality of the main character would be the artist who were a genius at playing piano. He was really good at piano, but the robot came along and then took over the piano's like field entirely, and he was really shocked and he stopped playing the piano. And yeah, I could see that kind of like future happening, but that's really the part of the tip of the thing will be my guess. So there will be a point where neural networks would be good enough for replacing artists, but it wouldn't stop us artists from controlling the neural networks to generate a specific artwork, right? So it's like content fill. Like Photoshop has the feature to content fill a portion of the photo or a paint, and then it will automatically fill it. But artist is the one who's controlling it, right? So there would be always a demand for a live human who's controlling the artwork, and that's not going to eat up the like. It could eat a lower portion of the non-creative artists, like if it's really they don't really have a unique touch to the artwork and stuff like that, could be replaced. But if they have a unique touch, unique take, unique taste to the artwork, then it's not gonna be demolished or removed. That's my understanding. Yeah. Congratulations, you received 100 message. Yeah, thanks. Okay, let's start making the umbrella. I don't know if I'm like correct or not, but I would like to see the future where humans and robots could coexist, not eating each other's like throats and stuff like that. Okay, so let's get a dummy so I can see how much length I'd need to make. I think, yeah, it could be this size. That is an interesting part. It would be also cool if technology advances so that we could potentially play cards games similarly to the technology in Yu-Gi-Oh! If you get hit by a 3D holographic model, then yeah, you get hurt. What's interesting about Yu-Gi-Oh's world is that Pegasus, who made the card game, is getting killed off, but releasing the card game still. And the interesting other part is Kaiba Seto is owning a company which specifically supports Yu-Gi-Oh cards, Yu-Gi-Oh's Worlds cards. And it feels really odd because that's a third-party supplier for the card game itself, killing off or potentially having some issues with the actual owner of the card games. But I think it's really odd because it's like you have Nintendo who makes games, and there's another company who makes the actual game cartridge of the Nintendo. But if you have another supplier who is making the controllers without the permission from Nintendo, who is saying that this is compatible with Nintendo, Nintendo would have a problem with that controller, right? But in Yu-Gi-Oh's world, there's no legal issue with those kind of situations. It feels really odd. Okay, so this is the thing that I need to copy to another subtool. And then let's see. $30 should be fine. And then let's see, array mesh, I think 8 would be fine. 8. And rotate 360. And lock position. And I need a cylinder in the middle, so I'm just gonna copy this, just squish it. And then let's duplicate this. This should be fine, and let's make it a bit more thinner. And let's just merge this into one, merge down. And then let's see. I do have references for an umbrella. and I mix with two umbrella designs. So I have one which is a weird kind of like shape. I'm not really sure how this is named, but you have a umbrella which is more like, how do I say this? Like, I can show you the image, like looking like this kind of like shape, or the normal the umbrella which you will see usually, like it's just straight. And I would like to have this kind of like a curve to it. Is that how you're saying? I'm not sure. But yeah, like it does give me like kind of like gothic, how do you pronounce those things? Gothic kind of like stuff. The earlier talk about manga and anime makes me kind of hoping a rumor I heard about the manga light novel The World of Otome Games is Tough for Mobs is getting an anime in the future is sure. I'm not really sure about that one. I'm not really familiar with mangas that are really popular among the female audiences. Yeah, it's a very dull-like stuff, yeah. I was looking for an umbrella that looks more like Victorian kind of like design, like antique. Why is it in the same point group? Delete hidden and maybe delete the edge loops, subtool, geometry, edge loop, delete loops, and then connect. So bridge, maybe not bridge, let me see, close convex hole. No, it's bridge. Oh no, it's, let's see, close convex hole. I just need one. And then, oh, why did I delete? Let me just think. Delete loops, and what I need to do is I just need to bridge. Wait a second. What are the screen and pan that I'm using? Screen and pan? Looks better than the mouse. Oh, screen and pan. I'm using Cintiq 24. Delete hidden and Mr. Daisuke, is it possible to mask and clear the border of a mask without changing topology? Is it possible to clear? Possible to mask and clear border of a mask without changing topology? What do you mean? I don't get the situation. bridge through holes. This made me think about adding another cylinder just underneath. Something like this. Really hidden. Is it possible to mask a clean border of a mask without changing topology? Depends on what you want to do at the end. If you want an additional loop, then you need to add a loop. So it's gonna change the topology, right? But I'm guessing that's not what you want. I don't need this amount of topology, so I'm gonna reduce it to this amount. Looks nice. And I'm gonna tweak it anyways. For example, you have a perfect circle mask on the plane, but you need a circle line mask without no mask. But usually, why would you want to keep the topology? Like, usually if you're like tweaking or making a hole or making a circle, isn't it likely that you would want to change the topology? So I get what you're saying. Like, if you have a dense mesh like this, and then if you draw a circle like this, you're saying that you want a mask, but you don't want to change this, like the shape of the circle, right? You don't want to change the topology of the mesh, so it kind of like adjusts to this circle. One thing you can do is that you can assign a polygroup and then just use the weighted smooth mode to follow along, so it makes a cleaner circle, and then you can just reapply masking like this, and then you can get a you can just tweak the point shape to like match the masking. Does that make sense? The mask around the border of the mask. That's not possible because you're not actually like even if you subdivide it, it doesn't have the clean topology unless you actually move it, right? So the only way is to assign a polygroup, and then using that polygroup to control the smoothing, and then you're gonna have this kind of like vertex moving around. But if you're masking, and then if you want the mask to be in a specific round shape, you're not gonna have that because you don't have that point to be in the specific spot in the circle, right? So you just need to move it around using smoothing to get this kind of like shape, and then reapply masking. And it really depends on what you want to do with that masking. You're gonna paint with it? Are you gonna use a like a different deformation to it? If you're gonna change the shape anyways, then might as well change the topology and just zero mesh it. You're gonna get a better result anyways. Like for example, if I want to keep groups and zero mesh it, I'm gonna get a cleaner, smoother circle. Something like this. So it's easy to mask and the result will be more cleaner than the original non-circle stuff. Seam details with patterns like railing on top. Railings, for example. I'm not really sure about what kind of like stuff you're making. It's hard to give you advice without seeing the actual thing. Hey, welcome. Move depth. Move depth. Move depth. It's hard to get some like umbrella kind of like feeling without making it cheap. I don't know how to say this, but like it feels a bit cheap. Like in Japan you have a umbrella that costs like 500 yen, which is like $5 US. And it gets really tossed around. Sometimes it's thrown away immediately after use, and I don't want to make that like kind of like feeling to have this umbrella to have like it. I wanted to make it a bit more feeling expensive compared to the cheap ones. I sculpt anime characters too, haha, yes. Clothes are sometimes tricky to get clean seams lines without sculpting when there's no good topology for polygrouping and using masked borders. Yeah, I get it. But usually you would want to get a cleaner topology, or it's usually better to just sculpt the detail on top of it with changing topology. Like if you look at Sakaki Kaoru, he's changing topology all the time, and he doesn't really like, he doesn't try to maintain the same topology, or he usually gets the cleaner topology in the first place if he's actually planning to make that specific shape. Uncrease all, uncrease polygroup. Increase polygroup should be fine. And let's see. put some gold texture on it, it will be expensive to just look at it. Yeah, you're gonna put diamonds, you're gonna put rubies, you're gonna put sapphires on top of it. It will look expensive, yeah. Do a lot of people use ZBrush for topology modeling? I'm new. Isn't ZBrush mainly Sculpt 2D 2.5D program? No. Yeah, so like there's a lot of like misconceptions about ZBrush or how ZBrush works, but yeah, it's a full 3D program. It's not 2.5D. And also there is a couple of like brushes you can use with topology. You can use ZModeler to control topology. You can actually retopologize with this ZModeler stuff. I'm asking about modeling. Yeah, you can use modeling with ZRemeshers. No. ZModelers. So there's a specific brush called ZModelers which has all the fancy modeling features you'd usually need. Extrude, polygroup. Bevel, polyloop. Nope. That should be fine. Let's see. Delete loops. Delete loops. Insert. Extrude polyloop. Can we see the character? Oh, yeah, we have the characters. I'm currently making the umbrella for this character. Oh, I just noticed it wasn't the cube I wanted. Let's see what I can do. Just deleting the cube. Oops. Well, I can just apply zero measures. Let's see. Well, just polygroup by normals. Group by normals. Yep, it's grouped. Zero measure. Keep groups. I don't need 5K, I just need 0.5. Yeah, it's working. I don't need vertical lines at all. You just need to have crease polygroup. Yep, good to go. And let's see if we can have the cloth on top of it and the cap so it doesn't slide off. Just need an additional pointy thing, maybe a bit more longer so it looks fancy. And let's see if we can add a cloth. I think I'm just going to use this circle 3D and tip it around 90 degrees, and let's see. I'll try if I can just use cloth dynamics. How much time would you usually take for you to complete a character from scratch to finish? Depends on the quality and depends on the accessories, items, other non-character parts. But usually I would take about like 24 hours for one character, start to finish. And if it needs more adjustments for the 3D printing process to begin, it's going to take more time. Collision volume, and let's start with run simulation. Oh yeah, one thing I noticed is you need to have array mesh confirmed, make mesh, and yeah, try again. And maybe divide it a bit more. So this penetrated because it's thin and the polygons are a bit loose. I think I should just use transpose gizmo, transpose cloth, this one. Maybe a bit more. 800 simulations, and let's see. Maybe better to adjust it like manually. Well, let's see if we can just zero mesh it so we can have an even topology. So we have X and Z, and then retopologize. 5K. Yeah, this is really even, so I think this will get a cleaner result. Maybe a bit less. Yeah, I would call it fine. I just need to adjust it a bit. I think I'll just drop it slowly. If you move the simulations a bit too fast, it's going to penetrate really easily, so you just need to consider that when using dynamics. Cloth slide. Most of the time I use layers to better have control effect on the simulations. Yeah, morph targets would be a next one as well. Cloth hook. Oh, CK. And since there was symmetry, I'm gonna add a bit more non-symmetrical look to it. And it does need to be a bit more non-wonky, because if it's too wonky, it's gonna catch the rains on that portion, and it's not gonna be an umbrella. So let's move. Snook. when I see a comment talking about Maya and Blender in my comments section, it feels like I need to do a Godfather joke where the Godfather talks about do you come to my house and disrespect me and stuff. So I'm looking at the reference image, and I think it's better to have a bit more. Bit more of a mountain happening. Something like this, and since it's requiring, hey, yeah, fine. Oh, forgot the transpose cloth was on, so I just need to move the transpose and cap it. Let's see if I forgot anything. I think it's better to have one more thing like this on top. And just combine it with the bottom one like this. Well, it's an umbrella, but it's more like a sunshade, kind of like umbrella. I'm not sure if it's a correct term to use, but it's not for rain purposes. But I would want the umbrella to withstand a couple of rains, so it needs to be a bit more flattened out. Yeah, something like this. And any recommendation this anime season? Everything feels like meh. Honestly, I'm not really seeing animes right now. I was too busy prepping my 3D print models. The last anime I saw was... Oh yeah, I started watching Higurashi. I think the English title is When They Cry. And I stopped around the first iteration of the series. So Lena attacks Keiichi. Episode 18 of the season 2. That's a long season. Active symmetry 8, radio counts, and Y, no X, yeah, and just need to mask this area and bend it. I don't like it. Like, I should keep it like this. It's not actually that. It's more an action comedy anime. Huh. Let me think about this. I think I can just go back to the array mesh and then just bend it over. Yeah, I think that's the easiest way to go. Something like this, I guess. And radial symmetry 8. Oh, no need for infinity depth. and maybe adding a bit more gravity to it without collision. And something like this. Maybe smoothing it out a bit. So I made it look a bit more so the umbrella's hitting the bone of the umbrella. Oh, because of the thickness, right? No need for this. I just need to divide, and it should be good to go. I think I just feel like I should keep the cleaner topology. Currently it does have like poles, so it's like preventing me from smoothing. Odd. Okay. Then we just need to smooth it. Okay. Basic shape is done. And let's see how it looks with the colors. So I'm just gonna send this back to Subtle Master. New folder, umbrella. Umbrella. And let's see. I just need to move the rest of the umbrella. And should be job done. I just need to move this to copy folder, and I think I should just move it to the bottom. Paste folder. And here I have the entire folder of the umbrella. Just use set transpose and oh yeah. So what happened is I had the array mesh still enabled. So I'm gonna make mesh, and then it should be fine to rotate like this. I think it's better to have the umbrella not really on the actual side of the character. I think it's better to have it like this. So she's like, whoop, like opening up the umbrella. So I'm gonna change the hands a bit. Something like this, and I think I need to close the hands like this. So the finger could be like a gun hand, like gun trigger hand. That's fine, but the other fingers should be bent. I'm gonna hide the umbrella so it's easy for me to just focus on the handle itself. And let's see, I don't need this. I think I just need the grip, right? Yeah. And for the hands, it should bend from, it's hard, but it should bend across this line. So it should bend like this. So I'm gonna do that first, because if I don't do that, it's gonna look weird and it's gonna feel only the fingers are bending over. So it's not like this, right? Your fingers are not gonna like close like this. This is odd. So it's gonna be like this, right? It starts from here. And I get it wrong as well, so if you know more anatomy stuff like this, just let me know. If I'm doing something odd, you can go to Spice's stream and get a couple of advices like this. Basically, he knows more anatomy than me, so if you're looking for anatomy advice, better ask him than me. I think it's 2 hours already, and it's going up to 2 hours 19 minutes. So I'm gonna try 4 hours at least. So it'll be additional 2 hours more. And if I feel a bit peakish, if I'm hungry, I think I'll stop. Any comments so far? Like, if you have any questions related to my workflows, you can ask. How much thickness would be fine for cloth in 3D printing? It depends on your printer, and it depends on the part of the model you're gonna print. So if it's like a skirt, I think it's better to have at least 0.05 millimeters at least. Usually people would recommend like 0.75 or 0.1 millimeters. At least, if it's a resin printer. 0.01. No, 0.5 would be the minimum millimeter. And if it goes below that, it's gonna be too thin to actually print. And it's gonna be brittle. It's gonna snap really quickly. So I usually would recommend having at least a millimeter or 2 millimeters thickness. Yeah, 1 millimeter. Yeah, it really depends on the printer itself. Like, and if it's like, is it gonna be casted or is it gonna be like a metal cast or metal mold and stuff like that? It really depends. Like, if you're making a 3D print model directly, that's fine. But if you're gonna make a cast out of that 3D print model, you need to consider the flow. So if you're making a silicone mold, you need to control how the resin is like flowing, and if that like silicone mold is too tightly like wrapped around by a rubber band, it's going to be squished. So you're going to have a thinner result by that, and then it's going to like, sometimes it's not going to flow. You're going to have bubbles inside the resin cast and stuff like that, and then you're going to have problems. So usually 1 millimeter or 2 millimeters would be safer. But it really depends on what you're making. Like, for example, if you have a 0.5 millimeters for a metal cast, like metal figurines, you're gonna have problems. It's not gonna go through. So best way is having 1 millimeter at the start of the cloth, then thin borders would be 0.75 would be maybe better. Yeah, like for example, the entire skirt should be like 1 millimeter, but if you want to have a thinner edge, then you can narrow it down to that amount, because it's gonna like feel a bit thick when the skirt is not thin at the border. So you can control thickness like that. I think this gap of finger kind of like feels odd to me, so I'm going to tweak this. And if you're using a FDM printer, and if it's less than a millimeter, I think it depends on the slicer itself, but some slicer would just like make a hole when there's a thin part of the model. So you'd want a thin part to be a bit more thicker if that happens. Yeah, I need to move the umbrella now. So this is the ribbon. Set. Move. I think the tip could be a different color, I guess. A bit more lighter color. And the gray could be a bit more darker. Yeah, something like this. And the shaft could be a bit more lighter. Something like this. And I'm not really happy with the color of the ribbons because it's not really turning, like, looking great. So maybe, how about red? Red could be nice. Yeah, red looks nice. Maybe a bit more darker. So adjust color. Polypaint, adjust color. I don't need to select this. Color. Oh. Yeah, this could be nice. Maybe wine red could be nice as well. Not this kind of like bright red. Ah, yeah, this is nice. Okay, so the umbrella is done, and the ribbon is done. So let's think about a bit of a change. I think the shoe could be red as well. Yeah. Maybe a bit more brighter, I guess. Yeah, looks nice. And let's think about, we could have a collar around, or a tie around her neck. So what did I do? Oh, I don't need a paste. I just need to insert a cylinder. let's delete the edge loops. Edge loop delete, and let's see, we don't need the top, we don't need the bottom, and we don't need the front. And we just need to adjust the top portion. Oh. Is it not symmetrical? Delete. Okay, now it's symmetrical. And let's move this and local symmetry. And let's just mask the bottom portion and I think I would want a fold inside. So what I'm going to do is use the Z modeler and extrude edge loop and move this inwards. Oh. Move this inward. Maybe inwards like this, and then additional I think it's just easier to just expand it a bit more, so I can just select this and then move it inwards and like this. And we want the thickness, so let's see if we can add thickness. Dynamic subdivisions, no. And the whole thing could be a bit shorter. And it's going in too much, so I'm gonna adjust this. Something like this, and crease. Sometimes crease doesn't solve everything, so I'm just using this and seeing if it solves the main issue at hand. 3 segments, no, 1 should be fine, and dividing. And I think this could be black, dot color. think I should be able to like hide the entire face and the head off later on with just one part or the one folder, so I can just quickly change them or like tweak them if I wanted to. But it's fine now, for now. Okay, I think I would want another ribbon on the neck portion, or I'm thinking about a tie which goes like across. So what I would like to do is make a cylinder and then just draw across like this. And then delete hidden. Oh, delete lower, delete hidden, and let's see. Yep, something like this, and let's have a button or some symbol in the middle. Maybe a symbol. Well, let's have a cleanup of the mesh. What kind of equipment do you use for sculpting and 3D printing? So for my PC, I have an older PC which is i7 3rd generation, and it's kind of like old. I'm thinking about getting a new one, but yeah, that's fine. And I use the Cintiq 24 HD from Wacom, what you see right here, and the printer I'm running right now is Form 2 from Formlabs. That's pretty much it. And I just use ZBrush. No problem. Maybe darker black could be. Yeah, I think better red, like black is better than red. Oh, hey, I think I got some ideas. How about adding a red stripe on the edge? Something like this. Or I think it's better to just have it till the tip of the ribbon. And then have a thinner line like this. And maybe AccuCurve and then get a sharper edge transition, sharper corner, and then have a cylinder, edge loop, delete edge loop, and just have this squished, smaller, and placed it in the middle. Why use snake hook and not move brush? Just curious. I think I answered this question in the past, but I'll just show you. Let me just bevel this. Oh. And polygroup by normals, and adding a bit more to it and making it flat. Yes. Okay, so what I'm using is snake hook because, like, for example, if I have a sphere like this, and if I use snake hook, I can do this kind of like wonky shape, right? Like this kind of movement. But if I use move brush, which is MV, you can't really do this, right? It's gonna be two actions, or it's gonna be this kind of like action. So for me, this feels really natural to be able to like draw out a curve like this. But move brush would be a straight line, so that's the difference for me. So I just prefer to use snake hook. Like, if this gets bigger, it's gonna move like this, but if it's a move brush, it's gonna move like this. This subtle change of direction is a bit huge for me personally. It allows me to have that kind of like small expression on the model. I think I will just export this as a umbrella, and then delete this subtool entirely because I don't need it. Ooh, why did it crash? Okay, so recovered ZTL file. Let's see what it has. Yeah, it does have the mesh. Okay, so I'm gonna paint this to red again. And just in case, save this as a project. Recover files are really helpful. Like I don't usually have any issues with recover files, and usually it saves my ass a lot. I think black could be a bit stronger of a color, I guess. Could be lighter like this. And it's really like sharp on the corners right now, so let me see if I can solve this by removing the crease. Well, one crease should be fine, then remove all crease and then smooth. Okay, yeah. And let's see. It needs to look a bit more natural, so like if you have a really like sharp thing around your neck, it's gonna hurt, so I think it's better to have it a bit more like soft looking. So something like this. And a bit more gravity to it. Yep. And if I can have a black line around the neck, could be nice. Standard. I need to change to paint. How's the mood today? Fine. Fine as usual. Well, it's the weekend, so. Last stream I had an internet connection problem, and I was thinking it was my house connection that was having issues, but the entirety of the East Japan was having issues, so I don't know what to say, but like it's unavoidable at that point. So I think the big corporations don't want my secret sculpting technique to be shared online, right? Conspiracies. Yeah, the X-File music. Oh, thanks. No problem. It's just fun to sculpt and show you the techniques, what I know of. Oh, that's great. Yeah, something like this could be nice. It could be sharper by using textures and stuff, but it's fine. It's a casual sculpt. So what is up next would be, I'm thinking about putting a glove on her for her. So the glove would be the next part, and I should think about the glove. What kind of glove would be nice? Let me just see if there's no glove would be an option. Let's see if we add a cylinder. Would it look weird? White. I think this could be nice. I don't know. Are you using a pen tablet for sculpting? Yeah, of course. I'm using a Wacom Cintiq 24 HD. No, I think it was a Pro. Yeah, it's a 4K screen, so it's Pro. I think I just need to open this up, delete hidden, and let's add a thickness to it. Opposite side. And not too much. Apply, smooth, and let's see if we can add an interesting detail. I don't know if it's better to have it like this. That should be fine. And then let's re-topologize it now. 10K should be fine. No, looks fine. Something like this, and let's see if we can add a bit more interesting details. Maybe back face masking on. And looking at the model with white is sometimes hard, so I think it's better to just use the materials smartly. Also, I need to switch to smooth alt so it doesn't destroy the details as I go along. I like sculpting even I don't sculpt. I'm looking forward to learn sculpting. Yeah. Now sculpting is easy and like easy going. Like you don't need to like go into too much technical details. It's fun to just go ahead and sculpt. Like the sculpting of ZBrush, you can go into details as you want. Like if you don't want to get into details, you don't need to do it. So that's the fun part of ZBrush. You can just dynamesh and then zero mesh and then project back the details, and you're basically mastered halfway of ZBrush. But if you want to get into details, and then if you want to sculpt more, if you want to learn how to like shorten the sculpting time, you can learn a bit more with ZBrush and try to master it. You can start by like using ZBrush Core Mini, which is free, or you can use the ZBrush Core, which is, I think it was $10 monthly, or you can just pay one time with 120, I think it was $180. Or you can go ahead and just buy ZBrush, the full version of ZBrush. But I recommend usually starting from the lower versions so you can get used to sculpting and have fun with it. Okay, let's just move this to full version is also paid monthly. No, the full version you can pay for monthly for 39.99 monthly, or you can pay for one time, which is, I think it was $798. So there's two options. No, we don't charge any additional monthly fees, but we don't guarantee free upgrades. So if you read the license, we only support for like one yearly upgrade. So like, for example, if I pay it for today, we'll guarantee the free upgrade till the next year. So if I buy it on August 15th, it will be the next year's August 15 will be expired for the like free upgrade support. But in the history of Pixologic, we gave out this upgrade for free since the beginning of ZBrush. So we haven't ever charged anything, but in the terms of the license agreement, we only support for 1 year for the upgrades. So, for example, if we have 2021.6.6 is the current version, but if we release a new version or the future release, it will guarantee to be free up to 1 year of purchase. No, you buy once. It's hard to explain. You're buying for the perpetual license, and it will be free up to next year, but we haven't charged anything up to now. Like in the history of ZBrush, 20 years, we haven't charged anything. So it's pay once model, basically. I know it's kind of hard to understand, but yeah. So on the internet, some people say that we give out the free upgrades forever for the it's not like that, but yeah, some people say that, but it's not true. But the truth is we haven't charged anything. So if you go to the Pixologic FAQ section, there is a text written version of what I explained right now. Even if by perpetual license, I will still need pay for some new version. Even if by perpetual license, I'll still need to pay for the new version. Well, we haven't charged anything, so in the past. But if we are going to do it, then yeah. So if you go to the purchase page like this, like you go to the for companies and students, and at below you have the official policy is that we guarantee free upgrades for 1 year for dates of purchase. However, in practice, we have actually never charged for an upgrade in 21 years. So that's the written text version of what I just said. So you can check that out. And if you go to the license page, you can actually check the hard written, like the license agreement you're going to sign. Well, yeah, you're going to agree when you're using the software. Yeah, these are technical, so it does get confusing sometimes, but and it's been like this for years, so it's not changed. It hasn't been changed. It's been like this for 21 years. So yeah, exactly. Like read it, please. Like I'm kind of interested when people have or get the questions like, oh, does this would this be A or B? And usually, sometimes it's in the middle. It's not like black and white. Sometimes it's on the gray, and like you see a question like, what's the best job, or what's the best job on like the MMORPG you're playing, like what's the best kind of like type of weapon, and the answer would be, it's best, this job is best for this role but not in this role. And usually you have those kind of like in the middle questions or the middle answers, and but usually people would want the black and white answers. Is it yes or no? So like it's like answering a question on like FF14, Final Fantasy 14, and you get an answer like the best job would be for this role, it will be blah blah blah, and if you play like this, you're gonna fit on this job better than like the other things and stuff like that. You have those kind of like non-clear answers, and on the internet you'd get a lot of questions like that, and people would expect a black and white answer. And after 20 years of streaming and sculpting, people still pouring on ZBrush lines. Well, it's important. Like if you're considering buying the software, you like need to look into those kind of stuff, and people ask those kind of stuff casually. That's a good thing. Your work is focused on anime like characters. Well, my job is more on the marketing side. Like, my job is marketing ZBrush, to be honest. So it's not my job to actually sculpt a model, but it's my hobby to like sculpt anime kind of characters. So usually if I get a question like, are you a professional in the field? I'm like, it's hard to say. Like, it's yes, but no, and no, but yes. Oh, I got a question a couple of times like, is this some other software that I wouldn't name? And I'm like, no, it's ZBrush. And it's pretty common, like, you have those questions a lot. Well, I think it's a good thing that people can identify the software just looking at the UIs. If they don't know the software, they would ask, right? But I like, for example, I have a YouTube channel on my personal side, and I'm sculpting I'm sculpting things a lot, but the issue is that you don't really see a non 3D artist like jumping onto ZBrush video and like seeing it for the first time. Usually, it's the 3D artist looking at the artwork and then thinking, oh, what is this software? Is the common thing. So like I would want more non 3D artists to watch the stream or watch the videos and then just find out about the software at the same time. I think that's a cool thing. I'm late to the stream. Did you make your own IMM brush for the hair? a download brush or made it from scratch. For the hair, I'm using my own set of brushes, which is called SDN Hair Set. You can download them on the ZBrush Central thread. ZBrush Central.com, and if you go to the link I'm gonna share, so if you go to this post and you go to the link below, this here, it has a Dropbox link, and it has a custom tool materials, custom IMM brushes, custom basic materials. So I'm using that. What do you think about action figure market? I don't know, isn't it nice? In Japan you have the Mekamusume categories. Like you have a plastic kit, but it's action figures. So that's kind of like fun and unique in Japan. Like Kotobukiya and Bandai is doing most of this stuff. Yeah, it's a curved brush, curved IMM brush. So what I usually recommend is go to picker and depth and change it to closest Z, so it's easier to control, like this. If you use the constant Z, it's gonna pick up the depth of the curve, so it's gonna snap to the surface. But if you use the picker with closest Z, it's just gonna like pick up the closest surface, but it's not gonna like pick up the other like depths from there. So it's gonna be easier to like manipulate like this. So I'd recommend using the picker depth closest Z with the current IMM brushes. For people who know me is watching 3D, you might need to put the focus on fun cam, fun plus face cam like Jezza, Ross draws. Yeah, I get it, yeah. Or the entertainment side like ZHC, right? Like, I'm not really opposed to those like entertainment, but like you get less value from the sculpting or the drawing aspect. So it's tricky, yeah. No problem. Very nice. You have a tip for making base mesh on there. Great. Yeah. I have a this is basically a joke on the post. Like you have the sphere and the owl. Like you draw a sphere and then you have the owl. Like that's the basic joke there. But usually you just need to like. I do have a video of this, making this one. So if you go to the YouTube, YouTube, oh, I can't reach the YouTube Kizakiali. Yeah, so if you go to the video, I'm basically showing the entire process of how to make the body from scratch. Where's the this one? It's 2 hours video, so it is a bit long. So you can see I'm starting from a sphere. I'm not lying, like I'm starting from a sphere, and then like the head is taking a while to make, but you duplicate the, well, you insert the sphere and then make the neck, and then just make the chest, make the torso, and then play around with the snake hook, and then basically you just spending time making the body. Like just thinking about the muscle structures and stuff like that. Fun. And then using Z modeler to get some shapes, and getting the shoes and doing socks and stuff like that, and doing the pose and doing the skirts and the fingers, and I'm explaining how the silicone mold is made, and adjusting, and it's basically done. So you can watch the entire video if you want. I think it's, yeah, 26 hours of video in 10 times speed, so that's the video. It's just an underwear, people. Oh, talking about YouTube, like, I'm playing Final Fantasy XIV recently. I just started, and like YouTube started to recommend me a lot of like FF14 content, like Final Fantasy stuff, like Asmon Gold, for example. I thought he was like a WoW guy, but like he switched to FF14 recently. He's kind of fun to watch. Yeah. I always loved playing the Final Fantasy 7 and 9 and 8. I haven't played the 11 series. But my friend invited me to play 14, so I'm playing that right now. But the problem is I don't really have the time to actually play it, so I'm just casually jumping in some raids and like playing some casual quest, and that's pretty much it. there's a lot of like controversy right now with the company that makes WoW. I think a lot of Twitch content creators don't want to promote their games right now, and have jumped ship to 14. Yeah, like I saw the controversies. Yeah, I'm aware. For me, FF7, 8, 12s are the best games. I haven't played 12, but people say that the bit system is really, really nice. For me, like the 7's materia system and the 8's Guardian Force system was really, really nice. And for me, like I was playing FF7 up to the max level and like getting the Knights of Rounds and getting the international version of the weapons to be like defeated. The Emerald and Ruby was really the toughest one. And after I played 7, my thinking was you need to level up the characters as much as possible. But if you play the FF8, FF8's monsters will level up depending on your level. So the best strategy when it comes to FF8 is to make your characters not level up as much as possible, to make it easy for the best for the like best time possible, or you should defeat the characters as much as possible in the level like lowest level, so it makes it easier to solve. But I didn't know that at the time, and I tried to max my level as much as possible in the early game, and I was really having a hard time finishing the game because of that. So I had a really fun time playing Final Fantasy VIII because of that, and the game was really, really like tricky and hard. I spent a really long time playing it. I like the FF9's like world building, but it's kind of like unique to 9. Like the world building, I think 7 was the best for me. Like yeah. FF8 summons level based on use. The game does scale your opponents to level though. Yeah, the Final Fantasy VIII's Guardian Force will have a AP. AP is the ability points. So if you defeat a certain monster, you get a certain amount of like APs, like 4 or 2 or 1 AP. And you can level up your Guardian Force's skills, like strength plus 60 or HP plus 40, and you can scale with that, kind of like adjusting, like adding to your character. And that kind of like system was unique back then. Like you attach your magic to your specific character's like ability to adjust it. So it had that kind of like mastery system built in, and you have to collect like a certain amount of like magic from like you can generate it from the items, you can generate it from the like taking out away from the enemies and stuff like that. But it's really, really fun. And FF9, you had the main character is a thief, so you can all the time you can like steal the items from the enemies all the fucking time. It's really, really fun. Like, but the problem is you have the really rare rate of like you can steal in one in 8, or you can steal from like 256 in like I think it was one in 256, and that kind of like rate was really insane. So you're gonna spend your turn attacking or stealing, and usually the stronger the rare items you can steal earlier on will make your like the quest really easy. So in the RTA sections, you're gonna have to have certain weapons earlier on, and if you're not gonna get those like weapons earlier on, it's gonna like lose time. Also, the FF8 has some like unique like randomizing system, and the art like you can manipulate certain art like randomization, and like the I think it was the you have a train in a game, and during the train's like movements, you have the you have a pole like going through your window